Sure.
Okay, Carla. So hope it's
Hello.
all. What's the weather like down there in Australia? Pretty good.
I am in Queensland, so it's summer, and in Queensland is a little bit hotter than in other
That's right.
states.
Another thing.
So
Yeah.
it is quite hot, humid, but we are going towards the end of summer.
Getting towards the end. We're getting towards. I can't say getting towards the end of winter because it is winter.
Where are you located now? Because I know that you spend a lot of time in France and in the Tenerife, even though you say that Bolton is still home. Where are you talking to me now
We are
from?
in Bolton right now. We're
Bolton,
here.
right?
We're here because we do travel an awful lot, but we have some podcasts to do. We have podcasts, and we're here until the end of February. We'll be here in Bolton. Then we'll start traveling again, Sri Lanka, probably Dubai. We've got 3 journeys to America, and it is afoot that we'll be in Australia again, either
Yeah.
June or a bit later.
Oh, okay. So you are coming in our winter,
Yes, and then it cools
even
off.
though it will be much milder than the English winter.
It will be much milder, much better winter. Yes, indeed. We loved our last visit to Australia, which was last year, and we should have been only 2 weeks. We spent 6 weeks, but we had a ball. We had a ball. We met so many
Yeah.
nice people.
Oh, lovely. I have a friend who wanted to start a business in tea, but they got told that there are too many tea choices already in the market, and competing against them would be extremely hard. You started Reebok when Adidas was big and women were wearing men's small shoes. What
Yes.
gave you the drive to persist and continue despite all the challenges?
Well, if you've read the book, you'll realize that the family have been in sporting goods, sports footwear, for over 130 years now. That's a long time. And the middle part of that was my father and uncle. My grandfather started a tremendous business,
Yes.
fantastic, known worldwide in his particular in his era and in his sport. He was known worldwide. It was very nice business, but his sons didn't really keep the business that well. They didn't. There were 5 years between them in age, and they just didn't
Right.
get on together. So they were fighting all the time.
Yep.
Eventually, when my brother Jeff and I sort of came to become part of the business, we did realize that the business was failing because if if the partners don't work together,
Mm.
uh, the business fails.
Would be
So
hard.
with that realization, and eventually we had to leave the company and set up our own company. So that's why we set up our own company, even though, as you were saying, Adidas were big. And Adidas it really owned the football business in the UK. So we couldn't compete. And that's what brought about the thinking of white space. Because white space is where can we go that Adidas are not in the sporting industry? So we went into cross country running, fell running, orienteering, a lot of spaces there. And we knew that within 50 miles radius of where we were in Bolton and Manchester,
Right.
there were a lot of athletic clubs. And because we were near to them, we could actually go. We could go and talk to them, work with them. We could sell to them. Yeah, Adidas had to go through the retailers. We went direct to these people, and so we could build a business, not competing with Adidas. We just went straight to our customer. You might say B2C if in those days, right straight to our customer. So that, because we had to sort of earn a living, we had to keep, say, a family tradition going. So we managed to do that, and we did that nicely, working with White Space. Eventually getting to America, and eventually, with that white space in mind, finding aerobics.
With Jane Fonda.
Yeah, more than just finding aerobics, we found women because
Yep.
that was the real source. And when we made an aerobic shoe specifically for women and
Mhm.
women's sizes on a woman's last, the men couldn't come near it. It didn't fit men. So, like you say, instead of women wearing smaller men's shoes, we just made a shoe for the women. And like I say, Jane Fonda came along and used them in her exercise videos, and that was it. We just took off. From a $9 million company, we just grew to a $900 million
Yeah.
business when we pivoted to women, and that took 4 years.
Mm. And then you wanted to take your business to America. And we are talking about a time where we didn't have Zoom like we are using now. We didn't have mobile phones. There were few international flights. America has always been the big dream, and but with minimal resources financially and logistically, how were you able to break through the American market?
Well, in the first place, logistically, it was difficult and very
Okay.
expensive to get to America. But
Yeah.
the British government had decided that they wanted to help. So they paid return airfares. They paid for a stand at the NSGA show, which is the National Sporting Goods of America. There was a show in Chicago. So there we go. And the only, okay, that made it affordable. But the only problem with it was that you got one chance a year to make a contact.
Yeah.
One chance a year, although it took me
Oh.
11 years, it was 1979 before, 68 when I first went, 1979 when we really got into the market. I had six failed attempts. I'd picked up six people at different times and they all failed. But in 1979, we got into the market. But I say, you only get one chance a year because that you've got to go somewhere where there's going to be people. So the exhibitions, the shows, the NSGA show, that was the one. And we tried for 10 years to push into the market, but it was so hard. And I say
Mm.
we failed six times. But running, our good fortune was that running, athletics, we were in athletics and running, it was growing very, very fast. Everybody wanted to go out to train, just a pair of shoes, all you needed to go training. And then along came all the events, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, half marathons and marathons. And people
Mm.
started to run in them. And Runner's World was a magazine that came out and grew fast with the running boom. They grew very fast to the point that when they decided, Bob Anderson decided that he could tell people which shoes to buy, that was an influence. That was one of the influences to athletes out there. And although the first and second time he tried it, first, second year, it failed. On the third year, he decided, because the first two had failed, instead of saying which was a number one shoe, he gave star ratings. So if you've got a 5-star rating, you'd be one of the best. But you could get 3 or 4 shoes at 5-star ratings. So we managed to get our 5-star ratings in 79, and that made the difference. All of a sudden, we had credentials. All of a sudden, somebody told people that was a good shoe to buy. Reebok was good to buy. So at that point, there was a demand for the product, and that made the difference. We managed to
Yeah.
get it as a running company.
Yeah. I have the legend, Joe Foster. If I were to ask you just for the listeners, so and we can all learn from you and from your experience, can you tell us about the psychology behind it? You had a chance per year, just once per year, to be able to make it. What made you still try? Because the odds were not on your side.
Well, I think you have to be an optimist,
Yeah.
and I think you have to have the attitude that you just keep going.
Yeah.
That it's out there. If you just keep going, the chances are you will make it. And although it took 11 years, and in order to do that, you've got to be enjoying it. I was having fun. We're having fun in the UK, and we're having fun building our business in different areas. But it was fun to go to America. It was fun to meet the guys over there and to talk with them. And they were nice. The people we would see at the NSGA show loved the product. They loved to buy the product, but it was really going through to the consumer. It's how do you get the consumer to buy the product? And I learned that at an early age, even in the UK, when we started off and we went down to the retail stores, and I would meet the owner of the retail store, and he said, very nice product, that, Joe. But why do I need you? I've got Adidas and I've got but Dunlop. Why do I need Reebok? And that was the question that it struck
Exactly.
home to me. Why do I need Reebok? He didn't need Reebok. I had to make him need Reebok.
Mm.
And the only way I could make him need Reebok was to go direct to the consumer. And once the consumers started to buy it, were the product, the retailers noticed that we were supplying, And then the retailers came to me and said, look, we'd love to stock your product. Please stop selling direct. And I said, well, you get the wholesale price. I only give 15% off to clubs, and I'm sure you could give 15% off. Some didn't like the idea that I would still be selling direct, but a lot of them decided that the demand was there, so they started to buy the product. And so this was the problem that we had to overcome, and that is to make people want us.
Yeah, exactly. You were named after your grandfather, the person that created the spike shoes. Was the name heavy to carry?
We, when Jeff and myself left the family company, we didn't realize just how good our grandfather had been. There wasn't much conversation. It's only as we sort of became a sizable company that we decided, we knew bits about grandfather, but
Mm,
we decided to research him. And we employed somebody just to do that, just to
yeah.
research grandfather. And we found what he knew all about influencing. He knew everything. And so I think I'm fortunate to have been able to pick up his name because there's so many stories that behind my grandfather with many world records and also gold medals. Chariots of Fire. The
Oh, yeah.
athletes actually won those shoes in the 1920s. They won their gold medals were in my grandfather's shoes. So there's a lot of stories that we have there. And
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
and those stories make a big difference.
Joe, just to end this session with, and I'd like to say a big thank you to you for making the time and to be my guest. I know that you have two books now. Your first book is called The Shoemaker,
Yes,
and I saw on social media that yesterday that you have just released the second one, Survive and Thrive. And I
we
must say,
have.
I love the title. What is it about?
Well, having written Shoemaker, we've traveled a lot and spoke to a lot of people like yourself, and we have bumped into so many people who've been through a lot of difficulty surviving, and so many stories, a lot of great stories of how they survived before they went on to thrive. And those people, we've already got the first book out, 20 people with a chapter on their lives. In fact, some of them didn't think they had a story, but some now, I think we've got two or three, have decided that they'll write a book, a full book now. But there they are. So it's probably encouraging people to tell their story. Everybody has a story. And it's amazing how the survival. Yes, I'm sure you'll read the book, but the survival stories of some of them are awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I know we survived, but ours is a nice story. Some went through hell. Some have gone through so much agony, and yet they've survived. They've had
Oh,
the courage to survive. So that's what we're doing. In fact, we're already on book two.
yeah.
We're,
Yeah.
we're, there's so many people with so many good stories.
Yeah, and I think it coincides as well with my podcast name, not a life sentence, because what I am trying to say to my listeners, whatever you have gone through, you can still make a difference to the world and you can still enjoy life.
Indeed, indeed, and as the opportunities arrive and change with computers now with social media, it is amazing how many different opportunities arise. The digital world is there to make a living in and tell your story. So yes, there's always something new.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you enough, Joy. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. I wish you health. And I look forward to seeing you in Australia.
It's been great, Carla. Nice meeting you, and I'm sure you have a story as well.
Everyone does, just
Ev-
as you always
Everyone
say.
does. Yes,
Yep. Thank you so much.
lovely. Thank you.